Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 11. That's this many plus one of Brown Mint Horror's Behind the Horror. We are here with the stars and crew of Rebirth, a Roger Connors film written and directed by the man in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. We are also here with stars Rachel Anderson and Aswan Harris. Everybody wave. Hello, hello, hello. Enough of that. Okay, so we're going to dive right into who these people are. They were brought to us courtesy of Midnight Releasing and Samara Entertainment. Thanks to Miss Shari Flaherty. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Without whom I wouldn't have a job. So, I mean, I could probably get people, but I probably couldn't. Anyways, all right. So we're going to go kind of around the room, so to speak. So we're going to start with ladies first. Miss Rachel Anderson. Rachel Anderson. Who is Rachel Anderson? And yeah. Who are you?
Who am I? Been acting pretty much my whole life. Started off theater, 8th grade. Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yes.
My heart. Yeah. After that, probably about 7 years ago, Roger. Now, I think I made my foray into film. At the time, I didn't really realize how much I would fall in love with it. I didn't really know that there was a big film scene in Ohio at the time. And the realism and how complicated film acting is actually just made me fall in love with it. So been doing that for about 7 years, and commercial acting, because it pays the bills. I also have a full-time 9-to-5. It's very boring to talk about, but I'm kind of a quality control manager for an auto salvage company.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, super, super boring. And I'm a mom. I have one stepdaughter who's 17 and 2 daughters who are 11 and 10. And I am currently coaching their softball team, which is
those are some interesting conversations on the field.
That's why I am missing part of my voice. It's
you got soccer, so you got soccer moms and horror moms. I love it.
It's a lot. I don't know if I'll ever do it again, but that's all right. Their team's name is the Dino Nuggies. It's really cute, and it's for my kids, so I'm doing it. But
there you go, taking one for the team.
I am.
Awesome.
It's a lot. So yep, that's pretty much me. Went to college for music, have a voice degree. I'm classically trained. One of my favorite roles I've played is Mary Poppins. So.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Chimney, chimchery.
That's right.
Yeah. And all that, right?
And all that good stuff. So that's me in a nutshell.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you so much.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Aswan Harris, down in the bottom right hand of your screen, coming at you live from Malibu in Malibu, Florida.
California.
It's same thing. Aswan Harris. Who the hell is Aswan Harris? Talk to us about who Aswan Harris is.
Man, Aswan Harris is a life liver.
All right.
I do coaching, getting back into my motivational speaking. I am the COO of a new premium Black-owned cold vodka company called Cold Blue Vodka, which is French for blue collar.
I love it.
Absolutely. Excuse the sun right now that's beaming in. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You shine so bright, Aswan.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And also act. I've done stunts in movies. I don't do too much stunts anymore. Excuse the pour. I'm just refilling my cup.
You're straight, man.
Vodka, so,
it's the most badass intro. He's like doing a full pour of this alcohol.
Exactly.
And if y'all haven't noticed, there's no mixer. I'm not even mixing it because it's that smooth. But yeah, so yeah, I just like to live, do things I'm passionate about. Acting is one of those things I love to entertain. So that's there. And the coaching, again, the Baca, and that's pretty much it. That's my life. Traveling, helping people. That's
Man,
Aswan.
Aswan's so modest. I can just tell. I can tell he's changed lives, and he's like, yeah, I do a little bit.
Yeah,
Man, it was fantastic seeing you in the film. Really enjoyed your character. You brought it, and I can't wait to talk about you and your double barrel shotgun and protecting Roger. Which brings us to Roger Connors, our director and writer and star of the show, so to speak. Tell us a little bit about who Roger Connors is.
It's a loaded question. It's a double barrel shotgun loaded question. Roger Connors is a want-to-be artist who really loves to create things and is always desperate to find a means to do it and make it sure it's seen on a wider scale. I really love working in film. I've been doing it since I was 19. I'm 35 next week, so you can do the math from there. I mean, this has been my life. Indie film has been my life. I've learned to create a lot with barely anything, you know, and Rebirth was my first foray into working behind the camera solo. I had AD'd on a few films prior, but I knew I had the itch to do it. It was just a matter of having the right project and the right team of people who trusted me with very little money and a vision, and so we did it, and I'm very thankful for that. So Roger Connors is a constantly evolving specimen, and when I know exactly who Roger Connors is, I'll make sure to let you know.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Before we get into the film, now that we've done introductions, everyone knows what time it is. It is time for a little bit of horror trivia. So, I mean, everybody's kind of like, yeah, it's gonna be great. I promise.
I'm ready.
We're gonna go, I don't know, maybe 3 rounds, and we'll just pick a winner at the end. We'll see who wins. Any favorite?
It better be Roger. It better be Roger. We'll see.
We're speaking my language right now.
Okay. So, Brumment horror trivia section. Question number 1. Oh, here's how you answer, because we don't have buzzers, obviously, on this show. If you just throw your hand up, like a quick, like that, I'll call on you, and you shout your answer, and you'll get 100 points. The first person to 300 wins.
Okay.
Or we just go a few rounds, then I pick a winner. Okay. So, in Jeepers Creepers in 2001, what character insists on returning to the dilapidated church? Trish or Derry? Mr. Roger Connors.
Derry.
That is correct. 100 points to Roger Connors. First question out the gate.
One answer I probably knew. Jeepers,
That movie.
where'd you get your peepers?
Exactly. Oh, man.
Where'd you get those eyes?
They're supposed to be coming out with another one.
Yeah,
Yes, they
just
are.
announced that, yeah.
They should probably stop it, but okay.
They're pumping those things out, man.
Right.
We're going to come
All
out
right.
with another Rebirth, so that's cool too.
Question 2. In the 2020 film Rebirth, no, I'm kidding. That might be a tiebreaker question. Okay.
So 2020, when do we start filming that?
In 28 Days Later from 2002, what is the longest possible length of time it can take a person to succumb to infection?
Oh my gosh, 20 days later.
Man, I haven't seen that in forever.
I thought it was.
It's pretty quick. Is it 5 minutes?
It is not 5 minutes. So what I'll do is I'll give you a range, a hint
Okay,
of the range.
There we go.
So is it 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or 30 seconds? Miss Rachel Anderson.
10 seconds.
It is not 10 seconds.
Damn it.
Aswan Harris.
I think it's 30 seconds.
It is not 30 seconds.
Not 30 seconds?
Which means you get it. Yeah.
Damn.
All right, that question's tossed.
Okay.
Okay. Next question. There's like 5 on a card, so I'm just scrolling through these. Let's go. Everybody like M. Night.
Something good.
People People like M. Night Shyamalan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like M. Night Shyamalan.
To what M. Night Shyamalan film was Split 2016 a sequel? M. Night Shyamalan, Split. It was a sequel to what film? Roger Connors.
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable for 200 points. Or for 100 points. We're at 200 now.
Yeah.
One more question for Roger Connors will win the pile of goodies that we don't have. Okay.
Sun is really beaming out right now.
Let's go with, ooh, okay. Man, some of these questions are terrible.
Like easy, terrible, or just bad?
Just bad. Like, I wouldn't even think to ask anybody some of this stuff. Okay, here's a good one. This is from a classic, okay? 1960, the movie Psycho. What's the amount of money that Marian Crane steals at the beginning of the film? Is it $30,000, $40,000, or $50,000? Aswan Harris.
I'm sticking to my $30,000.
It is not $30,000.
I didn't remember. I was just guessing.
Rachel or Roger coming in to steal. It's a 50-50 chance.
But that stinks.
You go, Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel, go. Rachel, go. Rachel, go. You can't let her win with us being blank.
Can I do it like The Price is Right, where it's like $30,001? $50,000. No.
It is not $50,000. Okay.
$40,000.
I knew it.
Okay. We could just keep going all night. So here's what we're going to do. The next question wins. Okay.
Okay.
You get crowned the
Roger
winner. All right. And this is going to be a question made up from moi.
Okay.
All right.
Better not be about our own movie.
These cards suck. Okay. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. What 1978 film introduced what is now a legendary actress and was dubbed the first ever, well, during the 80s, she was dubbed Scream Queen? Roger Connors.
Halloween, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Roger, you don't want anybody to win, man.
See, I was actually going to get that one. I actually knew that one. That was the only one.
Move fast, Rachel. You gotta move fast.
Roger wins.
I have no confidence. I stink at
Damn
trivia.
it. Roger won. Okay.
This is one competition I do not mind losing.
Okay.
Because I knew I was going up against Roger.
Thank you.
So, speaking of Halloween, I don't know if everybody saw the trailer or not, but the last episode that we did, one of the actors that we featured on there is actually in a film with Andy Matichek coming up in 2021 this year called Sun. Can't remember his name. I just did that interview too. That's terrible. Terrible host. But small world nonetheless. So here we are. What are we talking about? We're talking about Rebirth, a Roger Connors film. Dubbed by someone on IMDb, someone I'm sure smarter and a lot eloquent of a writer than I am, dubbed it a love letter to Night of the Living Dead, which definitely could see it. I also thought there was a little bit of homage paid to Children of the Dead, or Children of the Damned, rather. Something like that, with the white eyes.
Yeah.
Which I thought was I thought that was an interesting take. I thought that was creative. I really did. And those things popped up as soon as the the walkers or zombies or what did you guys call them? Whenever
ghouls,
you called them ghouls?
Yeah, we stuck true to the original kind of formula that no one within the film actually says the term zombie.
Right.
So, but yeah, the whole thing with the eyes is we wanted to also kind of stray away from the cliche zombie. I don't want to say cliche, but that same exact formula that you see. We didn't want to necessarily just have to recreate that. We wanted something that kind of leaned into sci-fi a little bit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, kind
Absolutely.
of almost like a little like the Italian horror too, like Demons. You know, like the classic, like kind of have that vibe. We took a lot of influence from that, even like video games like BioShock and the Resident Evil films. So we kind of just wanted to tap into other.
I could definitely see some Resident Evil stuff in there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is anybody a gamer?
Anything horror based. I do like playing horror based games. Yeah.
I used to play WoW.
I'm not an avid gamer like I used to be.
Rachel used to play WoW. Did I hear that right? Okay.
A lot.
Rachel, a nerd.
Have my wine and my cheese, and I'd sit.
What?
Aswan, what are you playing?
Man, these days I'm getting back into my sports and some Mortal Kombat, but I used to be an avid Resident Evil player. Like I love Resident Evil when I was playing PlayStation. Now I do
right
Xbox,
on.
so
yeah,
it changes.
So right now,
watch other people play that video game. I didn't.
Yo, that is a scary game to play. Yo, like
yeah,
Lord,
the remakes too.
Like,
I'm trying to get through Grand Theft Auto 5 and the Evil Within video game. Have you guys heard of that?
Yeah.
No. Evil Within, I'm not. No, but it sounds up my alley.
It spawned a sequel. It's kind of like Resident Evil, a lot like Resident Evil 4. Actually, if you played that, highly recommend.
Awesome.
So let's talk a little bit about Rebirth. Mm-hmm. So we open with the classic, going to the cemetery to visit the folks. In this particular film, it is not a female lead, but a male lead. Mm-hmm. So then, of course, when all hell breaks loose, Roger, you're running all over the place. You end up running into a spot where we get our first taste of suspense and a little bit of gore with the lady at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
And where she's pulled back in to the room, and you kind of tumble back down the stairs and stuff like that. So out of, I wrote down like 3 scenes, and that was number 3 as far as like favorite scene in the film. I really like that, especially basically right after opening. To see something like that, I really love that.
Too.
Yeah.
That was definitely the scene that like set the pace for me.
Yeah, I really feel like things like don't really pick up until you kind of get to that point. Like the opening is kind of, I don't want to say exposition because you don't get a ton of dialogue between the siblings, but when the action really hits is once you get to the house and once you get to the also the garage location too. But yeah, I'm very happy with that scene. We try to play into kind of that 1970s cinematography style with like the slow zoom in and everything. Almost kind of like some Suspiria shots is with the red all around us and everything. We wanted it to kind of be a homage to the era that we're pulling from. Because even from the opening credits, we had very like that vintage kind of almost like we said Psycho earlier, but almost kind of like a Hitchcock.
Yeah, it reminded me of Psycho with the like the panels going up and down like that.
Yep. Yeah, that was our goal, but we wanted to feel like blood dripping down the screen.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as far as you talk about how the film was shot, man, we're going to talk about different scenes and stuff, obviously, but where did you pick up the cinematographer, the guy who actually did the shooting?
It was actually a female
woman.
Woman. I say guy,
but I say with Noelle, her name's Noelle Bai. She's actually retired at this point. She's not shooting anymore, which is a shame. But one thing I think that is huge in acknowledging that she's a woman is I think she brought, there's a feminine energy, almost like a flowetry to a lot of the footage and how it kind of like some of the sequences kind of naturally flow. This is an indie movie made on a very small amount of money. It's an $8,000 budget. So like we know our weaknesses and our flaws overall, but I think in one of the areas that we stand tall is a lot of times the cinematography kind of excels beyond I think the standard expectation of a movie of such a small budget.
100%.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And so I think that's a lot of it is Noelle. Noelle just She was a wizard of the craft, and she knew how to work with little to nothing. She was a one-woman machine. She could do it all. And I think the movie looks strong because of her contributions.
Absolutely. And shout out to Miss Noel. Fantastic cinematography work done on Rebirth. And here's the thing too, with indie films, everybody's out there giving 100%. They're trying their best. Sometimes some of them look better than others.
Yeah.
And you can have a strong story but not shot great, or you can have a strong, it could be shot great but not have as strong a story. You guys were able to meet in the middle and pull off a great story with great cinematography on a small budget. So kudos to you guys. That was great.
Yeah.
You paid homage, which horror fans love. You incorporated some gore, some blood, some suspense. Critics are going to be critics, and you're not going to be able to please everybody. But you pleased a little guy in Nashville, Tennessee, so that's okay. That was the goal, right?
Hey, as long as you can please somebody, and to Roger goes the glory, because to your point, I don't. No matter the budget, if he was able to bring together a powerful team of actors to also help move that story along with the budget, right? So you add a good cinematographer with a good storyline, and then you add the actors to it. I mean, it brings it all together. So.
And I mean, here's the thing: if you look at Sean Baker's film Tangerine.
Yeah, I love Tangerine.
That was shot entirely from an iPhone 5S back in the day.
It was an undercover. Yeah, it was undercover.
So it's either, a great cinematographer can either have a $10,000 camera or a $400 phone. They have that eye where they're going to get that shot that they want. And she nailed that. Yeah. And it made everybody was great, but it made everybody look better. It made the story flow. And that's one thing from watching all these films that I've been sent and conducting these interviews and the behind the scenes, questions and stuff, that's kind of like the one aspect that really sets everybody's films kind of apart. Because if it doesn't flow right, and, like the lighting in this movie was really great. I love the lighting.
Thank you.
I don't really have a lot of even when the camera shuts off and I close this interview, I don't have like a lot of bad stuff to say to a buddy about this indie flick called Rebirth. I really don't. So we talked about the scene at the top of the stairs. Kind of go around. Aswan, what was your favorite scene in the film? Either to shoot or just your favorite scene period in the film. Spoiler alert, doesn't matter. We don't give a fuck.
We can cuss. Can we cuss on this show?
Yes.
Yeah, I make sure to check.
Already now, it's on.
I make sure to check the box on YouTube Studio that it's not made for kids, so it's good.
Okay, all right. Sorry.
Man, to be honest, don't apologize. You're good. To be honest, I honestly don't know if I had a favorite. Okay, wait, maybe.
Aswan, you're walking around with a double barrel shotgun. You had a damn favorite scene, okay?
Listen, and honestly, it wasn't even the scenes that I had the gun. It varied because I had some strong scenes. I had some strong actors. Like that's a big part. You know what I'm saying? Like the scene where I'm saving, Roger's ass, basically, from them tormenting him and all that other stuff. So that scene was so powerful. And then this first scene out the gate with Rachel, come on. Like I had to shoot a scene to get emotional, and she brought it. I really couldn't pick one, and that's being honest to God truthful. Like I could not really pick one particular one because each day was different, each scene was different. We had different elements. I remember the scene with me and Roger running through the field was fun, but it was more so not about what we were doing. It was I was fascinated by the zombies and fascinated by the work of other people, that I was like, oh man, this is great. You know what I mean? Like that. I love being around creative people, and that's the thing for me that makes me go too.
Fantastic.
So sorry, I really couldn't pick one.
Well, I mean, we're just going to keep stroking Roger's ego here about how great his film is. Rachel, what about you? Was there a particular favorite scene or, piece of dialogue you enjoyed doing, or what?
So from a viewer's standpoint, I'd have to say one of my favorite scenes was also when in the opening, when that whole scene where you see her get pulled. I know that actress, and I message her all the time. Every time I see it, I'm like, girl, you nailed this. You nailed this scene, girl. But anyway, as far as acting, I'd have to say, I have two scenes that I enjoy for different reasons. One of the scenes happened to just be really fun for me. Mm-hmm. We had a long day of filming. We filmed all of the cellar footage in one day. Had to get it done. Wow. We got there. We got it all done. So
including Aswan's death. I just used to say out the gate. First day, Aswan. We have to film your death today. I don't think he was prepared.
A swan song.
Too. We filmed everybody.
The gate.
The kid stuff, all of the kid stuff.
All of it. We filmed for like 14 hours. But yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on you, Rachel.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Interject wherever you want. So, end of the day, I'm covered in zombie makeup because at this point I got shivved. And they hand me a bag of pig guts. And they're like, okay, Rachel, what we want you to do is we want you to stand up and you're going to drop these on your feet. And I'm like, you want me to drop these real guts on my feet and like walk in them? Yes.
And then Rachel's OnlyFans started after that with all the pig feet.
So bad. It smelled so bad.
So gross.
Like, oh man, like dude, terrible. I had to shower in the cellar shower of the location to get
hose her down
the stuff off of me. So that was my fun one. And then as far as acting was concerned, there's a scene that I'm very proud of that I find out through the television set that my daughter is more than likely going to become one of these things that is walking around.
Right.
And at the time we didn't have the footage. They hadn't even shot it yet. But Roger was like, okay, Rachel, this is what's going on. So let's just go ahead and see what we can do. And I did it. I managed to bring it. And I am really proud of that moment as an actor. A lot of times you're asked to do some pretty crazy emoting with not a lot to go off of. And I feel it's very believable in that moment. And I'm like, every time I see it, I'm like, yeah, okay.
I like how she said she managed to bring it.
Right, exactly.
Just as an aside about the cinematography and how strong the movie is, not only due to Noelle and her just amazingness, she also was a huge part of the lighting. I feel her lighting is very, very artistic. But Roger actually is one of the few directors I've ever worked with on an indie level that took the time to plot out his scenes. He would sketch them out.
Oh yeah.
So that everyone had a good idea of what his artistic vision was when we got to set. And that helps solidify things so wonderfully and helps everything flow on the same level. Like, okay, we see what you're trying to do, and it helps everything move the way it needs to, and it helps everything be more coherent. And I want to give him a shout out for that because I thought that was really, really cool.
Thank you.
Shout out to Roger and his creative vision. The creative son of a bitch. You.
100%.
My friend calls it the gay eye. He's like, gays are just a little more artistically gifted than other people.
I beg to differ. That's just
Right.
you, sir. I'm stripping that away and I'm giving it to you. So stop.
Aswan's like,
you.
no, I know a bunch of guys who fucking suck.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get to Roger's favorite scene, I mean, he's looking at, because we're going to save him for last, because he's looking at through like 3, 4, 5 different lenses. Okay. Yeah. From a director standpoint, writer standpoint, actor standpoint, everything. So, one of the things that we've talked about on other episodes that we applaud you guys for in the indie world, and thank you so much for doing it, is the ability and the task of having to wear so many different hats in what you guys do. Between, cast and crew, actors, directors, everybody kind of has a hand in everything and helping out and stuff like that. I know the first one we interviewed, I think it was Dead Again with Tony Fadil and crew out in England. He said that they shot that film in like 3 days during pandemic. So I don't, before you talk about your favorite scenes, Roger, can you kind of take us into shooting and like how long you guys had and stuff like that? You can kind of do it all together.
No, okay. So we started this in 2000. I thought it was 2015. I'm sorry, it was 2014. We started this in 2014.
IMDb sucks, man. They said like 2020.
Well, no, I know it was released. You're right. So
okay, IMDb, you don't suck.
We filmed this, a big chunk of it, and this was my first film helming this, and I was all learning experiences, and one of the biggest learning experiences I had was we were about, I'd say 90% of it had been completed in the sense of filming it, and we were editing it along the way, and we had an hour long cut of the movie done, and there was a situation. The editor at the time had it on one hard drive, and that hard drive had a malfunction, and that malfunction destroyed the film. We lost the entire cut, and at that time we lost the footage.
Holy shit.
And so I didn't know of this right off the bat, but when I was informed, I was under the assumption the film was lost. So there was probably a year and a half there where the film was considered lost. We finally managed to salvage send it out to a company that specifically salvages footage, and we're able to get 80% of the footage back, not the cuts, but 80% of the footage. But unfortunately, we lost, due to like digital disruption and all kinds of issues. Clips would just bleed into other clips. We lost some like scenes. We lost moments of the film that were just gone. We lost footage from the opening. You'll notice that the opening scene is heavily ADR'd, or maybe you didn't, but the voice of Johnny is completely dubbed. It's like we were watching an Italian movie. It's a completely different person's voice.
You can tell. It sounds good.
Yeah. But
you did really well.
Thank you. Yeah, but all of this is due to the damage that was experienced when the hard drive malfunctioned. So the editor stepped off the film, and so eventually I got in contact with the team behind Disposable Entertainment. They specialize in projects that have kind of been pushed to the wayside due to various issues, and they try to salvage them. And I explained the issue with the footage. I explained that there was going to be a need for probably additional reshoots and pickups if possible. At this point, I would say 3 to 4 years had passed when it finally got rolling again. They took on the film and they made it what it is today. There was minimum pickups. There were a few scenes that were shot and after the fact, but for the most part, I don't think you'd really know it. But yeah, they saved my movie. McCoons and Malachi Polte, I need to raise them up. They really came in and salvaged the movie, and they literally brought it back from the dead. I use the joke all the time, but that's what they did. But it was
Rebirth.
Rebirth. It was a rebirth. It was the single most stressful experience of my life. I spent many nights crying. But I'm very thankful that at the end of the day that the movie was able to see the light of day, because I've worked with a lot of filmmakers who have made multiple movies and they've gone along the wayside and they've never seen the light of day. And I said, if I can't finish the first, then I have no business making a second. This movie was a lot of people just donating their time. We had no money to put into it. And I owed them a finished product that was deserved. So if I can't give them that, then I don't deserve to be doing this. But I'm very lucky that I had an amazing team salvage this film and make it what it is now. And I'm very proud of the final cut.
Yeah. That's awesome. I can't believe they were able to retrieve all that footage. That's a great, I mean, I'm just I have a MacBook here. If I lost this video, I would have no idea how to get it back. I would,
it cost a lot of money. Is what
I bet.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money to salvage it. But
isn't that? Go ahead.
It's one of those things. Like, I mean, for me, because you say the whole thing with wearing a lot of hats. I know footage we lost, and there's always like that kind of feeling of, oh, what if? And you have to get past that with something like this. I call it the gift and the problem. I learned a lot of things on that set. I learned countless things. I learned more on that set than any film I've ever been on, considering the situation. And I'm very lucky that there's a final product to have. But, I look back, there's one specific scene that we lost, and I always think of this. And it's Aswan, where he's pounding on the door and Rachel's getting smacked and she's like sent flying across the floor. The whole scene of the confrontation. There is a scene with Aswan where like he sees the horde of zombies coming in on him, and we covered the hell out of it. And only 2 of the shots survived. And for me, it's one of those little things that I remember having that moment, really loving that moment. And I literally went through thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of clips that were digitally spliced together, hoping I could come across it. Pray, and it's just one of those things. Eventually, you've got to learn when to let go of something like that. And that's just one of many examples,
Man.
Yeah.
Well, we'll segue into sort of my next note, which was the white glowing eyes of the ghouls. So tell us a little bit about how you came up with that.
So the main issue that we were facing was because we had lost some footage, we also wanted to really still maintain the volume of zombies, of ghouls. And the guys can tell you that we had overall accumulatively over 100 zombies. There were a ton of zombies, and some of those days you had 20 to 30, some days you had 5 to 10, but overall we had over 100 zombies. But there were some shots again that didn't survive. So some of the shots were good, but there'd be a blink or there'd be something where it just wasn't working. And so I first started off as like a bandage. What can we do? So we tried removing a frame and here and there. And then I had been looking for inspiration. And one of the things I came across was a image from one of the phone games, like like a smartphone, like an iPhone game. It was like a shooting game of zombies. And what it was, the zombies are like black silhouettes, but you see their eyes in the distance. And I was like, I've seen this before. And I was like racking my brain, and it was demons. And I was like, my big thing with this is I really want to, while I want it to be a homage to Romero, I also don't know, this isn't a Romero film. It's a take on the material,
Right.
So I want these things to feel different. I want them to feel like their own take on the lure. And I don't want them to look like every Romero zombie. So we started playing out with how can we make the eyes different? At one point we made them black. It didn't really work. So at another point we had them glowing all the time, and it was too much. So we kind of thought of the idea of what if it's one of those things where, because you hear the whole thing about the Venus probe in the original movie, the radiation coming down to Earth. I wanted to play with the idea that there's a sci-fi element to this. I wanted to lean into almost like kind of like a Shivers, Cronenberg. There's something in the bodies bringing them back. What if the brains are activating when they detect warm flesh? You see the eyes light up, and that's why you hear that. You like hear them activate, and you see them activate because the brain is registering food. And so it's like kind of like you see it. It's the viewer's way of knowing, oh, they're in feeding mode. They're that much more dangerous now.
Right on. That was great. And I love the I mean, I love the take with the white eyes. Like, that is killer. That was one of the first things that stood out to me and kept me engaged, was looking out for that. It reminded me of, like I said, Children of the Damned. It also reminded me of, you talk about sci-fi, Stephen King's It, which a lot of people attribute as a horror film. But if you read the book, it is like this galactic creature that crash lands to Earth and has the deadlights or whatever.
Yeah.
They're always better.
Right, books are always better. You're damn right. So my next note could be a bit of a controversial one.
Okay.
And I want to let Roger take it on this one, or whoever wants to jump in. I wrote down 2 words: cadaver wiener.
Listen, so I knew I wanted to do Full Frontal because I knew, here's the thing. You're in a cemetery, you have the whole kind of setting for there to be a morgue-esque environment. I knew that with nudity in a movie, when it's not presented in a sexy way, it's uncomfortable. It's scary. It's not meant to be like, it's not meant to be like, yeah, giggity. Like,
I agree.
Yeah, and I want it to be something that made your skin crawl. And I mean, it is graphic. It is graphic nudity. If you not watch the movie, there's a butthole in it.
It was ghoul taint, straight up ghoul taint.
But you know what?
Swan's like, I didn't watch that part.
No,
I'm
listening to these helicopters go over. Like, let me make sure I'm
when we premiered the movie locally, and we were all able to fortunately go see it, my future in-laws, I'm engaged, my future in-laws were like, we want to go see this movie, let us come see this movie.
Oh no.
And I'm like, okay. And my stepdaughter is like, I want to see this movie too. And I'm like, okay, well, there's zombie penis, okay? There's like, so, but I forgot about the part where he's bending over, right?
Yeah, just
and
getting
I
all in it.
over in the theater, and I'm like, I told you guys.
Listen, Roger
Oh,
nailed it on the
you
head.
want me to?
It was a scene to make you feel uncomfortable. And just here's the thing: if you watch, oh, one sec.
Nice.
Right? I'm literally thinking about posters I need to put in my house. Like, you just give me some good ideas.
So if you watch this film,
I know, I love that one.
Oh, the original.
Yeah, if you watch this film, there's a scene where they're walking to the home, and I think it's a female that is, and she's not necessarily an attractive woman,
right?
But you don't look at it in a way of like, oh my God, she's naked. You look at it like, oh my, that's really freaking creepy.
Right.
That she's just and that was the take that I had of the cadaver. And
that's exactly why I wanted the nude scene, is because there's tons of, it's very obviously the same, retelling the story for a modern era, for a different social commentary, but there are specific key things. My trench coat, it's obviously Barbara's jacket. There's a lot of aspects of the movie that are very specific, like even the Barbara line in the opening of the movie with the tombstone. There's not a Barbara character, but we still got "They're coming to get you, Barbara." So
right.
So with the aspect of the nude ghoul, I knew I wanted it to reintroduce, because I know that's exactly why they did it in the original. It's that shock factor, and not just shock like to be like, ugh, or it's not arousing. It's like these bodies, they're completely stripped of sexuality. Yeah,
that's exactly what you would see.
Yeah, and it made
I think you would see it.
Yeah, it's similar to if you've seen It Follows, the movie It Follows.
Yes.
The moment where she's in the warehouse and she's tied down and the nude woman is approaching and she's just naked with no explanation. I wanted that same kind of vibe, and that's why I was like, let's just go literally
I forgot all about that
balls to the walls.
Exactly. I was checking inventory over here to make sure I had that film, and I don't. Someone pick that up. God, what a great film that was.
Yeah,
Has everybody
yeah.
seen that?
It Follows is good.
It Follows.
Mm-hmm. You ever seen it,
not.
Rachel?
Straight
No.
up. I mean, it's a classic in its own time, and
It's
a great yeah, it's a very simple film. Aswan's putting it on his list right now. Rachel, you need to do the same.
It's great.
Oh.
It's great.
I remember it.
Female led.
Yeah, and not like I mean, there's moments of violence, but like it's not. It's more
creepy.
skin crawl. Yeah, it's constantly creepy. It's all about tone and atmosphere and just that feeling of.
That movie came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember like anybody coming out being like a main director of that movie or hearing any big press about that flick. I remember seeing about it on my Facebook and went at like 11 o'clock at night to a midnight showing. And I was like, holy shit, this is like some Carpenter stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
The tone and the pacing and stuff like that. And I'm like, somebody is a horror fan that made this.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's as an indie, because it was made for a smaller budget. I mean, it's a very polished piece of cinema, but it's an example of what you can do with a smaller budget. And still, I mean, it's more effective than most of the big CGI laden fests. And I don't hate CGI, but a lot of times it can take away from a fear factor. That movie was all natural, just suspense. It was all just suspense.
Speaking of all natural, let's talk about some of the effects that were used, such as taking some crowbars to the face, some knives, some obviously we talked about pig guts. Somebody talk to us about some of the practical effects that were used in this flick. Who wants to take that?
I didn't get a ton of that. I mean, like I oversaw it, but I think the two of them got way more in. It was Rachel got really messy.
Yeah,
and Aswan actually has one of my favorite effects. It's really simple, but Aswan. I mean, if we're spoiler laden here, there's a close up of the bite on Aswan's hand that I actually like. The end of the movie, we were really like unsure of how to end the film at a certain point. I mean, we stuck true to the script, but we were really unsure of what to do. And because the ending of the original Night of the Living Dead is so iconic, but we wanted that same tone. But I don't want it to be beat for beat the same movie. Because, Ben's end of that movie was very of the time, and it's still relevant today. But we wanted to find a different way to tell it. And so with Ben, he has this huge build up to the finale. He as everything that happens to him. I'm still using vague terminology to be kind of spoiler free, but then when he looks down and he sees that bite after everything, it's that moment of, are you fucking kidding me? And it's that simple, just you see that effect where he like close up, he rocks his hand and you see like the gnaw, like the teeth imprints and everything.
Yeah.
And I was so happy with how that turned out. And it wasn't an overly gory end. It's just, what's going to happen to him. And then his performance after that carried that moment, light years. It was so good.
Rachel, any effects that you love besides the pig guts?
There was one pickup that we did that didn't end up making it in the movie that I thought was we actually did the fall for this effect, but we didn't end up using it. And what it was we went to a gym. They put a big piece of green paper down, and I had to climb up in that dress that actually managed to still fit after 3 years of not being in it, which was, I'm totally okay with that. I had to climb up and trust fall backwards looking scared into the camera, because I have a scene in the movie where I fall down steps and they were hoping maybe to use some of that in that fall. It's the scariest thing I think I've ever done for a movie, because I hate not being able to see where I'm falling. And I was falling at least 15 feet onto some padded stuff, and I wasn't sure if I can tell if I'm going to make it there or not. So that was one of my favorite kind of things that we had. The actual fall, I have to just hand it to the stunt person that was wearing my dress as well. He did that in one take, and he fell down a very, very real, very steep flight of steps. Roger, do you remember his name? Because I don't know his name. Dylan?
Dylan. It's Dylan. He looks nothing like Rachel. He's a man. He is a muscular, but
It's
somehow
a man.
he is
Man.
with like a shaved head. We put like a crappy wig on him and we put him in the dress. And I don't know, man. First of all, Malachi was filming it, and I think it broke his finger the way he fell. We only did one take, but that take, it worked. Like, and there's no digital alteration. That's a dude in a dress, and the way it's filmed, you can't even tell.
God.
Yeah.
The beauty and the magic of filmmaking, everybody.
Oh, and the fun part about my injury there was to show that my leg had broken. The special effects makeup artist that day put a dog bone in, like, it looked like there was an actual bone in my leg, and managed to make it look realistic. That was really cool as well.
Yuck.
Like, he
Fantastic.
managed to make my leg look like it had completely snapped
Just
off.
fractured the hell out of it.
And that was in our first day of filming in the cellar too. All of it.
Looked terribly amazing.
Yeah, yep.
Terribly amazing.
Our
So
makeup team was amazing.
can we I want to dedicate just a few minutes to I called him the aggressive Phil Donahue guy, the religious nut who was in the cellar.
Oh,
I did not get his name. What an actor.
wow.
Al Hudson.
Yo,
Have I seen him in something else before?
no, I don't think so. But 100% amazing actor. Like that was one of the scenes I was talking about when I had to save Roger.
Yeah.
And like he brought so much gravitas. I was like, the fuck?
Yeah.
You
Damn.
know what I mean? Like I was like, okay, I got, like, that's what you want. You know what I mean? Like he's amazing. He's amazing. And he's so modest and humble. Like,
so modest.
Dude, I appreciate, you are a fucking amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah. Al is the ultimate professional. He's kind, and he is nothing like the character. He is the most kind-hearted, open-minded guy you'll ever meet. He had to say some very hateful, scathing language. We had to really talk about it. But the point of that character was to represent a lot of negative things about our country.
Yeah.
And about certain elements of our country.
Yeah.
And I know the kind of person he is. It just goes to show what a phenomenal actor he is. All three of us had intense scenes with him. And I think those scenes, honestly, are some of the standout moments of the movie. I know him because I'm sure we've all heard of the 48-Hour Film Festival.
Yeah.
I did a 48-Hour Film Festival with him years ago. I met him through, it was a team that did the movie Elementary back in 2008. I think we did the 48-Hour together. He had a role in it. He was phenomenal. And I thought, years later, I was like, his voice still stuck with me because he has that really deep, gruff, kind of just like a preacher's voice. Yeah.
Preacher's voice. Yeah, preacher's voice.
And I knew I wanted
Fire and brimstone.
Yeah, exactly. And I knew I wanted that character because I wanted it to have a reverend element, because I was very much taken off the Westboro Baptist Church, that mentality. So I wanted a preacher-like vibe. And I knew I wanted him older than Rachel because I wanted that kind of almost, I don't want to say an arranged marriage, but the older man with the younger pretty woman kind of, and it all fell together.
Aspect.
Yeah, and it all fell together. I was beyond blessed with my whole cast in general, but that focal cast, and Rachel, Aswan, Brad Arner, who played Tom. I'd worked with him on Chill, The Killing Games, and he's just a phenomenal actor. Taylor, who played Judy, I'd worked with her before. I just kind of got lucky with working with really talented people. I did not cast a ton outside of my circle of talent that I just know.
Yeah.
But Al is somebody who I just always knew I wanted to work with him again because the talent was insane, you know?
Yeah, everybody worked really well together. Everybody had great chemistry for sure.
Yeah.
So without talking too much more about the film, because we could definitely get into more and more spoilers if we haven't already. First of all, everybody needs to check it out. What platforms is it available to stream on? I know Amazon Prime. You can get it on there. Fandango Now.
Yeah. Discovery. Is it Discovery? Is it? Yeah, it's Discovery. It's on a couple of platforms.
Vudu. It's on Vudu. Apple TV.
Okay.
iTunes. Fandango Now. There's it's funny. I'll check like every 2 weeks. I'll see another one pop up. So at this point, we're like on like 10 platforms. I'm thrilled about it.
Awesome.
And we're waiting on like the news regarding the physical release, because that's obviously, I think beyond everything, zombie fans, horror fans, they like their hard copy.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the next step, and we're waiting on that for sure. That's going to be the big one,
But it is also on YouTube, Microsoft, and Vimeo.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Well, check this out. So Shari over at Marian Entertainment, I did an interview with the manager of the last Blockbuster. Did you guys see that documentary on Netflix? Okay.
No, Sandy, I need to watch that. I'm a mad Blockbuster fan.
So the last Blockbuster is in Bend, Oregon. Sandy King is the one who runs it. She still goes every Tuesday and buys all new films for new releases. That shit is still running. Like,
she's in Oregon?
Yeah, in Bend, Oregon. It's the last Blockbuster.
I need to go visit.
Yeah, for sure. You can go on YouTube. There's everybody like making pilgrimages to this thing. Anyways, so I interviewed her. We sent her a Blockbuster Presents copy of Halloween on VHS, sealed. Found that at the Goodwill here in Nashville. Sent that to her. So that's on a nice little display case with a little note from us.
Wow.
But the reason I bring that up is when you get your physical copies of Rebirth, we need to let Shari know over at Samara, because she had like a big box of like midnight releasing titles and stuff sent over there. So there's like a section in the horror section that's midnight releasing stuff.
Oh, I would love that.
How dope is that? In the last Blockbuster, bro.
For
How
sure.
awesome is that?
At Blockbuster.
Yeah.
I would love it, man.
Aswan could be like talking to his friends, be like, "Man, I made it." What do you mean, man? My film is in Blockbuster, bro.
That's a true to the homage. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like,
yes, absolutely.
100%. That needs to happen.
Well, the VHS of Night of the Living Dead is so like defining. I would always migrate to it in the horror section.
Yes.
Like as a child, I remember the exact box and everything. So that is that would be a very surreal moment,
Yes. So it's not a matter of if, it's when it will happen, and I'll keep you guys posted on that.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
So we're at the end of our interview. This is the point I told you all guys about your Tony Robbins soapbox mentor. Aswan's like, man, I got this. This is what I do. So we're going to start with him. Aswan, if you had to sit down and have a chat with an up and coming filmmaker or someone who wants to be an actor, and what would you say to them? What would you tell them?
For an up and coming actor or filmmaker, what I would tell them is to be very, very deliberate on what you're trying to do. Understand what exactly it is you're trying to do, and surround yourself with people who can help you get there. If you're trying to be a filmmaker, you want to make sure that you have a good team, right? So people who first and foremost believe in your vision for what you're trying to do, because that was one of the biggest things why I attached myself to this project with Roger, was the passion that he had. And like he said before, there's films that end up in the graveyard like no other, and I had a strong belief that this would not be one of them. So you want to just surround yourself with people who are passionate about their craft, no matter what level or what specific area that they focus in. You want to make sure that you're surrounding yourself around those people, and then have your vision and see your vision, and don't take no for an answer. See it all the way through, and do whatever you got to do to make it happen and come to reality.
Fantastic answer, man. That's exactly what we're going for. Absolutely. Miss Rachel, what do you think? Tell us what you'd tell them.
Well, from an actor's standpoint, anyone who approaches me like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Do the work. Do the work. It's all work, whether it's marketing yourself, actually doing the work to research and to build your character and to practice and to learn the role. You have to do the work. It's work. Like you're not going to just all of a sudden wake up and be an actor. Like you have to do it. And there are so many excuses that I hear about, well, this. Okay, but if you really want to do this, you have to do the work. You have to just get it done. There are many different facets and types of work that you will have to do, sacrifices that you will probably have to make in order to make that dream come true. You know, but I personally feel I don't have to be famous to know that I am good at what I do. And so if you really want to act, if you want to be an actor, then do the work. Get it done. If you feel you need training in a certain area, go train. If you feel you need to move to a different location to do the type of work that you want to do to market yourself properly, move, go, do it. Don't sit, don't make excuses, get yourself gone. I was talking to a young actress who had big dreams, huge dreams. We were in a musical together the last 5 years. I played Kathy. She was one of the other actors that were made up the ensemble, and I was talking with her, and she was like, well, I was thinking about moving to LA. And I'm like, how old are you? And she's like, I'm 23. And I'm like, go, get gone. What are you doing here in Ohio? If you want to move to LA and do this, go. Well, the girl is wildly successful now, and I don't know if anything I said meant anything to her or not, but I'm glad I said it because she is rocking it. She's just killing it out there. So do the work, just do it.
Steve Harvey once said in a little clip, somebody had approached him at a like a restaurant or something like that, and you know, wanted some help with whatever, and he asked her what she did, and she's like, oh, I act. And he said, he asked her, oh, so what are you acting in? He's like, oh, I'm going to be an actress, or I'm going to be an actor. He's like, well, what are you acting in? And she's like, no, I'm going to go be an actor. I'm paraphrasing, but basically what he was getting at was like, actors act. Doesn't matter if you're on Broadway or the runway or Main Street in the musical, you know, in the local county theater. Actors act, period. Painters paint, period. Writers write, singers sing.
Now there's no excuse.
Right. You, like you said, Rachel, you have to do the work. You know, talking about doing videos on YouTube, or, you know, putting out content and talking to horror people. And, you know, my partner and I, we had talked about doing this off and on for 10 years. We started Brown Mint Horror 10 years ago. And it got to a point, you know, at the beginning of the year, we were like, man, you know, what are we really going to do with this? Do we want to like try to make this into something? And we're like, we just spitball out, you know, it'd be cool. You know, it'd be cool. Well, anything cool you think of is just a cool idea until you put in the work to make it a cool thing, to make it actual realization. And never, ever, ever underestimate the power of reaching out and asking anything out of somebody. You have no idea the power, and this is for viewers. You guys know this because you know the way the universe works.
That's what you want.
I asked Shari Midnight Releasing for some DVDs to review, and we're on episode 11 of this interview segments. And I mean, we're just a couple dudes in Nashville who love horror that want to promote indie horror specifically. I mean, yeah, we'll talk about a little Halloween or, you know, Friday the 13th or whatever's mainstream, but I want to talk about what Aswan's been in. I want to talk about Rebirth. I want, when somebody's talking about a flick, I want to be able to recommend, hey, have you ever, yeah, that's great, but have you heard of this? Hell no, man. That sounds like shit. No, you need to check this out. This is phenomenal. And this is done on micro budgets. This is done where like actors give a shit, like, and they're, you know, this is, you need to check this stuff out. And that's where I'm at. And that's what Brown Mint Horror is about. We're all about promoting what you guys are doing, the aspect of indie, And unfortunately, it's overlooked sometimes. And the reason it is we have a lot of bad indie horror films that have, predicated you guys. I guess that's a good word. That have kind of made a bad taste in people's mouth. But this Rebirth is something everybody needs to check out. Mainstream, non-mainstream. We're gonna promote some Rebirth. Okay.
Right.
If I may,
and even the bad
really
people
quickly,
though, the bad movies, they still need to keep making them though, because you grow from it. Hopefully.
100%. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's the add-on to the question that you asked earlier. Continue.
Rachel, go ahead. What?
Rachel.
If I may, really quick, there's one quote that I actually have printed out and I keep up at my desk because it encourages me, it motivates me as an actor, and I thought that everyone should hear this quote.
Yeah, hit us with it.
As much as possible. So it's Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. When you're first starting out, you have to act wherever you can. You can't be picky. You really have to act wherever you can. And wherever you get a chance to act, and that might be even just in an audition room. And this is something a teacher told me years ago, and he's right. Even if you're auditioning for something you're never going to get, or you might have read it, you might have not even liked it, but you know that you have to go. If you get a chance to act in a room that somebody else has paid for, then you're given a free chance to practice your craft. And in that moment, you should act as well as you can, because if you leave the room or the theater or wherever you are, and you've acted as well as you can, there's no way that the people who have watched you will forget it.
I got chill bumps off that. I really did. That's phenomenal.
So that's on my wall. That's my fire. It's
fantastic. I'm going to put that in the description. I'm going to copy and paste that and put that in the description under the video. Mr. Roger Connors, tell us, baby, what do you got for us?
If I'm gonna,
you got to follow up Seymour Hoffman's quote, by the way.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm thinking. Like, wow, oh my gosh, no, yeah, no, I think what I would suggest to anybody that wants to do this on any level, acting, filmmaking, whatever it may be, don't be intimidated to start by starting off small. If you're going to do indies, I have done so many films where I haven't been paid. I have done so many films where I've never seen money. I've done so many films where there's no budget, and that can be exhausting. But when you're just starting off, you just got to kind of take the gigs as they come and
pay your dues,
and you've got to be humbled by it. And I will say, I've had plenty of experiences humble me, down to what happened with Rebirth, and and fearing that my first project directing could be lost. That was very humbling. I'll never ever think I'm in a position where I'm better than someone, or I've learned more than someone, or I'm more accomplished. That's not what, to me, filmmaking and is not competitive. I mean, yes, when you're acting, you're going up against other people, but you can't control what the filmmaker envisions for his film. If he doesn't see you in the role, he doesn't see you in the role, and it is what it is. So you go on to the next, and it's just about humbling yourself enough to understand that when the part is right, you'll get it. And if you just keep persisting, it's inevitable that you're going to have some form of success. It may not be exactly as you envision it, but you got to keep just pushing forward. It can get really shitty, and it can get really exhausting, and it can get really demeaning. And sometimes you're going to say, why the hell am I doing this? But then you're going to have moments where you look at it and you're like, God, this is, for me as an artist, you talked about, a painter needs to paint. Well, an actor needs to act, a filmmaker needs to create. And when you're doing that, nothing feels better. And so if you do it for that alone, it's going to be fulfilling.
100%. And I'll leave it at that. That's the whole reason we're doing this. We want to create. We love horror. We love film. Mm-hmm. We want to profile those that are involved and those that are creating it. And we want to put out there that, and that's the reason we always end with this segment, because someone out there, Nashville, Ohio, LA, mm-hmm. Malibu, somebody's out there that is looking to be an upcoming actor or writing a film, or, you know, there could be a kid that just got a notebook and is like writing his first little story or something like that, that has these dreams because they've heard of these Spielberg guys and, you know, Philip Seymour Hoffmans and Stephen King's and stuff like that. And, you know, who are we to say that you can't? That dream's too big, or you'll never be able to do that.
Anybody to say that you can't.
Exactly. Who are you?
Yourself. Yeah, you have to believe in yourself more than anybody else.
That's our platform. That is our soapbox. You know, who are you to say we can't? Who are you to say that they can't?
And if they say you can't, make sure you fucking do.
Yeah.
Just so they know.
Yeah, exactly.
just so they could be reminded. Oh yes.
I
can.
always like saying this story. John Carpenter, you know, in late 70s did Halloween. He fucking made Halloween so he wanted to make Westerns, but he made Halloween so he could get a big budget to make the shit that he actually wanted to make. Halloween was originally the Babysitter Murders. It was a one-off independent flick that this company wanted just to have as a title, just a quick flick, independent, low budget for the time.
Yeah.
Look at it now.
Yeah.
Who knows? Somebody's out there making the next independent film that we're going to be talking about, you know, for 40 or 50 years.
Yeah.
And with Rebirth, with cadaver wieners and all kinds of morose and crazy things, we're going to be talking about it for a long time. I joke about the cadaver wiener, but and also the white eyes.
I don't.
Every Roger's like, fuck. I mean, I put that shit in there. They're going to be talking about that shit.
Make sure you talk about it.
Right. Thank you guys so much. Miss Rachel, Aswan, Roger.
It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate it. I hope that I know the other interviews and places you guys, platforms you have been on, might have been a little more elaborate. We're in the basement of the house here.
I love it.
Thank you.
I love that poster.
Thank you. Got a little R2D2 and a little Halloween 4 there.
Yes, classic.
Once again, thank you guys so much. On behalf of Brown Mint Horror, we appreciate you guys being on. And I'm so sorry that we had to reschedule. But we look forward to seeing the projects that you're doing in the future. And we hope to have you back on again real soon. So thank you guys so much. And we look forward to next time.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
You
too. Night.